Good afternoon and welcome to AP Euro or AP European History. This is a college level course that will cover, it's a survey, it will cover Western civilization, its history, starting from the year 1450 up until the present. It is designed to be an introduction to college and a college-like course. So there's a high expectation for a level of independence and independent learning in this class. Within the class itself, the seminar moments will be chances for discussion and looking at primary sources in a close way. But it will also, its efforts are to really have a sense of the basis of the chronology, major events and trends that help shape European history and help create the modern Western society that we live in. The course is going to be conducting the study through lecture, along with the study of primary and secondary source materials, including and especially the textbook, A History of the Modern World by Palmer. That, along with a source book that we have written by Sherman, or collected by Sherman, edited by Sherman, will be our two primary books of study for this year. And I'm hoping by the end of next week for every student to have access to those two books in its physical form. At home, students are expected to be reading these books on their own, taking notes from them, because a lot of the material of the course will be learned through the study of those books. And then what we learn in class and my lecture helps supplement. The course itself is broken off into four distinct periods. A period from 1450 to 1648, which is marked by, you could argue 1450 is sort of the fall of Constantinople, sort of reshaping, sort of defining what is Europe, Western Europe. 1648 is marking the end of the 30 Years' War, the Peace of Westphalia. In a similar way, the College Board has divided up the rest of the course according to major peace treaties where all of Europe comes together and they redraw the map of Europe to create a new balance of power. So from 1648 to 1815, that would be the end of Napoleon and the Congress of Vienna. And then from 1815 to 1914, which marks the start of World War I, rather than Treaty of Versailles, because from 1914 forward, we sort of argue as a new modern age that the shock of World War I is what shifted it. This year, we haven't received any word yet as to what the AP exam will be like, but I will say right now what it was traditionally, and I'll just say yet last year it was different. But this in the past, it consisted of 55 multiple choice questions, 3 short answers, 1 DBQ, and then 1 long essay question chosen from 3. As a result, because that is our end exam that every student is expected to take, I will prepare them by offering these different forms of assessments. The bulk of our weight, I'll move ahead to talk about the grading this year. Our formal assessments will include any kind of essay writing or multiple choice questions along with short answer. And this year, unlike years in the past, the frequency and the weighting of those individual exams, a multiple choice test won't weigh as heavily in the grade as something like an essay, just because of the nature of the fact that half the students will be at home, half the students will be in class. So to make sure that those tests are still legitimate and valid, we'll be weighing them a little bit differently. Quizzes will be 15% of the grade. Primarily, they'll be the short answer questions. There might be some multiple choice, though, as like check-in points. And these are 15% of the grade. They're just regular check-ins. They're meant to sort of help inform me and my instruction, along with informing your students sort of where they are, what else they need to know. Projects and classwork are the fun things. They're the creative. If you watched your child do the poser project over the summer where they were recreating art, any kind of fun additional part of the class, and along with participation, which is another major part of the grade. The second marking period its grade is calculated a bit differently, and a lot of it is me just inputting the research project grade in a few different categories. So you'll see all of a sudden this research paper is worth a lot more. It will be worth about approximately 2/3 of your child's final grade for the second quarter. And so I'm going to talk a bit about the research paper, but I think that's what makes this course so special and so unique, is that the emphasis on research and study and the discipline in the humanities. It's a humanities-based research similar to, but different from the science research process. This is very rigorous of a course, and it's what makes it, I would argue, a true college level class, is that this research paper in the end is the part that is worth so much, rather than if you can choose one of 4 options on the test. The other part that makes this course a bit unique is that we do have something called an economic seminar. I run my seminar a little bit different than the political seminar, which occurred with AP US history. The economic seminar is mainly going to be the platform for different podcasts in the first 3 quarters, along with one-on-one conferencing. I really value the one-on-one conferencing, and I do insist upon it. It becomes a graded assignment. We're 15 students in this class this year. It's a small community, but all the more we have the ability. I have 15 students. I can absolutely meet with each one-on-one in an academic fashion. And this is also designed for the college, for your future college lives, where I know, at least from personal experience, it took quite a bit of bravery to go and meet with that teacher the very first time and talk about courses and what's going on in the class. But in the end, developing those personal relationships with professors was very valuable in the long run. It helps me really get deeper understanding, helps clear up on any kind of questions I might have, and it made the quality of my work a lot better. And so the economic seminar in the first 3 portions of the first 3 quarters of the class do relate more heavily to the European content, although throughout all of the content, we will be learning economic concepts and principles. You'll also be introduced to all of the major economic thinkers of Western history. So we're tracing really the development of capitalism, along with the introduction of socialism and a communist system within our course itself. At the end of after the AP, we dedicate the 4th quarter really to economics, and we just become an economics class. And so the 4th quarter, the grading, you'll all of a sudden see shift, where instead of just having sort of standard 20-point assignments throughout the year for the economic seminar, which are your podcast grades, how you do on quizzes, and meeting with me, all of a sudden in the 4th quarter, there's going to be, a worksheet or a project or an essay that the students have to write that deals with economics. And that will be where we study more of a microeconomic approach along with personal finance. That's how the course goes with that. The research paper is what makes this class so fantastic in my world. The students get to choose any topic of interest as long as it relates to European history in some way. It could be tangential. It could be Europeans' interaction with another part of the world. It also needs to deal with from 1450 forward. So we do try to keep that time frame. It should also take place in history, though. So I always try and point students to know more recent than about the year 2000 for us, so we can at least see a historical lens. Have academics really write and have a distance to the event, enough distance to be able to reflect and think historically. However, if students are interested in more of an economic lens for their paper, it is welcome to be investigating that way. I just ask that they also pursue a bit of history. And we'll talk as students one-on-one how to develop those topics. So the research process, as you can see on the screen, there's quite a few steps to it, and it's some purpose, right? We really I don't want to set up students just to have the paper due on January 15th and good luck, right? So there's a bunch of check-ins throughout. So I'll briefly just explain what each one is like. The first one, the students will be meeting with me by the end of September. Every student should have at least one meeting with me where they're going to just talk about what they're interested in. And I will help point them to what makes sense, what's a logical topic to go from there, where else to research, what to go for. Then there are 4 different bibliography checks. What these are annotated bibliographies. They're reading an academic journal. They are taking notes on that academic journal and sort of evaluating it as a source. Just because they completed one of these annotations, it does not mean that that is a source they have to use in their final research. If anything, sometimes I read a source and I realize, well, it was really interesting. It's not my topic. Or I read something that makes me wonder something more, and I'm changing my topic altogether. And I'm going for now. I'm changing my topic, and my first 2 annotated bibliographies just are no longer relevant. It's a process. It's nothing set in stone. All of these things are to help us learn and grow and explore. Right. This is the experiment. Right. We want to have a hypothesis coming in, a question. We don't want to have our thesis. We have to still uncover that. So finally by the research plan and thesis, and that normally happens by the end of November, early December, students are more formalizing their final topic. And so with this research plan and thesis, by right around Thanksgiving time, they should really have a formal, concrete idea of what they are writing. And they should start being able to have note cards or sheets, as I say, one piece of paper with the title of the book on top, along with bullet points of all the notes from that book and from those academic journals, along with an outline and a more formal bibliography. When they have all of that information, which should be by early December or so, your research is pretty much done. So by early to mid-December, the students have all of their research together. It's been sorted, it's been organized. They might now see, oh, I have a hole here that I need to still fill. I'm hoping to find a primary source to help support this idea. But they have an argument that they know is valid and can be proven by the information in front of them. And so at this point, we'll have another conference. We'll talk about your research and talk about the structure of how to write an essay, write an extended paper. This will be the students, most likely be one of the students' longest papers they've ever written, at least in the humanities. It's going to normally be about 15 pages long. The minimum is 12 pages. And I always say my maximum is no more than 20. Written pages, because some students might get caught and start writing a book, and we need to also figure out how do we whittle and stay our focus, because we're not going through archives. There's no reason for us to be writing such a long paper. The final paper is due January 15th. I don't have any set dates for the other dates yet, because we haven't communicated as the students yet with those dates. But what's important to note is that these are all deadlines that will happen at the same time, as I recognize, as colleges are getting due. And so it's going to be a challenge for students to maneuver and manage all of these different responsibilities, because I know I'm not the only class that they have. So I wanted to let you know about this work and the fact that there will be deadlines for them, and I expect students to hold on to them. But I also wish that you would encourage to your students that if they seem overwhelmed, to just email me. Like I want to insist on deadlines. I think it helps students stay organized, stay on top of their work. But I also recognize that there is a need for flexibility at times. So please just remind them that I'm a resource and I'm willing to work with them, and to come to me at any moment. With all that, feel free to contact me at any time. mrice@pelhamschools.org is my email with any further questions or comments. I look forward to getting to know you all a little bit better, maybe one day meeting you. But for now, please, I really am enjoying our class community that we're starting to develop, and it's a truly special class. So I'm looking forward to going ahead with your students. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. Take care. Bye.